Welcome back to the show, Kyle. How often do you read Patrick's diary to know that's exactly what he was thinking?
A few times.
A few times. Not going to answer.
Few times.
All right, let's move on with the show. My guest tonight is the owner of the Union Pub and Grill here in Huntington, West Virginia. The Union has been Huntington's premier bar since 1991. Located on 4th Avenue, the Union is a great place to meet up with friends, watch the game, or wind down after a long week at work. How do I know all this? Because Kyle told me so.
Yep.
Please welcome the owner of the Union, Herb Stanley. Herb, how are you, sir? Thank you very much for doing this. I would introduce Kyle to you, but you know Kyle.
Absolutely. I sure did.
Have a seat. Herb, thank you for coming on the show. Now, we joke about this. Kyle always gives the guest a hug. He gave you the hug. You don't have anything wrong with that, do you?
Not at all.
Why is that? Because Kyle is what you consider a regular, right?
Absolutely.
Let's hear some Kyle stories real quick. How often is he in the Union?
Not as much as you may think.
Oh, okay.
He strolls in.
I stroll in.
Make your appearance.
I make my appearance. I do my little wave, tip my hat.
It's like the 1940s. You tip your hat, then you're out.
Yeah, another night had a bite to eat, I believe.
I did when we watched Marshall play basketball.
That's right.
Well, Herb, thank you for coming on the show. Herb, I'm so glad you actually got to be on the show because every time I see you and from what I hear from all the crew members, you actually enjoy watching our show, which is so exciting for me to hear we have a fan in the community.
I do. I get home. I don't get home till sometimes 4 or 5 in the morning. So your show is replayed, on our Marshall channel. So I end up catching it, and I caught it. And now I'm just hooked on it. And even though they play the reruns, I still catch myself watching it over. I don't know how many times I've seen Larry King.
Well, that's the whole point.
It's a great show.
We don't promote ourselves; just we throw it out there and run it to death. Mm-hmm. So, what show is your favorite? What one do you like the most? You said Larry King. What else? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Keith and I have been friends a long time. That was a pretty cool show. And
the Keith Morehouse live show.
When the hand came up with the sandwich, it was pretty neat.
Let's talk about that because this is the kind of person Herb is. Coolest guy in the world. I called down there an hour, maybe 2 hours before we shot the live show on February 4th. I said, is there any way we can get it, Keith Morehouse for, and you didn't say absolutely. No questions asked, absolutely. Came down, you gave it to us. Keith absolutely loved it. You're friends with Keith, right?
Absolutely.
What did he tell you after that? Did he say that he couldn't believe that I'm bringing up the Keith Morehouse?
Well, we've known each other for a long time, and it was really neat. It was cool to have a sandwich named after him. He is a great guy.
And Chad Pennington too, right?
Yes.
And Kyle Hofstetter, right?
Yeah, we're working on that.
Yeah, not so much, right?
They don't have enough ham to put on that sandwich.
Waka waka.
All
right, well, let's talk about you and what you've done with the Union starting before it was even called the Union, right?
Yeah, I came to school down here in, I believe, spring '81, pledged to fraternity in fall '82. The varsity was where the fraternities and sororities hung out, and the varsity was actually located on 20th Street where the stadium sits, and it was built in '64, so it had been there a long time. I was the third owner, and I got a job working there, and then it was really strange. One day I was talking to the owner about leasing or selling. Next thing I knew, he'd been to his attorney and had papers drawn up. And August 1st, he gave me the key. I gave him a check, and
you've been going ever since.
Yeah.
Now we were talking backstage beforehand. How you used to run your business? You used to close at a certain time. Talk about the clientele that used to stay in there after the establishment closed.
Well, we were talking. The varsity it was just a beer garden per se, and we closed at 2 o'clock, and I'd have a group of locals in, including Deb and Keith Morehouse, and they would be over in the booth, 5 or 6 of them, playing Trivia Pursuit. So, I clean up, be ready to go. I was going to visit another establishment, and I'd say, I'll see you guys later, and I'd just lock them in. They'd sit there and play Trivia Pursuit all night long.
And you had no problem with that?
No, not at all. Never thought of.
Lock the door on your way out.
Well, we were all such good friends. I never thought a thing about it. It was I look back sometimes like, man, that was crazy. But they enjoyed themselves, and they were good customers and good friends.
Well, you talk about also looking back at the Union too. I mean, that process, you've been doing so well with that. Do you ever think about opening another store anywhere else? Only
when people come in and say, boy, if this place was where we live or at this university, it'd be great. But it's a lot of work with this one. I don't think I could. I think about it, but I don't think I could do two two places like that. So.
Don't think so. There's not two Herbs, right?
I don't think so.
That's for sure.
That's
no,
for sure.
No two Herbs.
Well, let's talk about it real quick. We're running a little short on time. Let's talk about the people that come in, because it's not just the college crowd. I mean, it's a wide variety of people that visit your bar every night.
It is. You know, you just never know who's going to come in. And, you know, the age varies, you know, from 21 to, oh gosh, you know, I guess I've had grandparents in there, I don't know what ages, but up there. And yeah, you never know. Politicians. I was lucky enough to have when Joe Manchin was governor, he came in, hung out for about an hour or so. That was pretty neat. So yeah, it's a real diverse crowd, but a really great crowd. You know, really good people. And
you also do Twitter now as well, right? Did that start up recently?
I leased the kitchen out to a gentleman named Russ Livingsgood,
Russ.
and Russ takes care of the Facebook page and the Twitter. He does all that.
Hashtag Team Union, right? Is that what we're doing, Kyle?
That's what we're doing.
No, Kyle's wanting to go down to the Union right now, right?
Kind of. I'm hungry and thirsty, so.
Well, Herb, we really appreciate you coming on the show. We appreciate you watching the show.
Oh, I do. I love it. Thank you very much for having me.
I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Herb Stanley, everyone, make some noise for him. We'll be right back after this. Stacy Lawson will perform for us. We'll be right back.